Hey guys, Jeff here. In today's video, we're going to show you how to tile the floor. I'm right here in the basement of my forever home. We're going to show you everything from prep to grout, from the tools, materials, and the techniques. We're going to show you the difference between what fails and what lasts. All right guys, first step on any job is clean and dry. This is concrete obviously, so we've got some scraping to do. We've been out here drywalling. The best tile jobs happen on the best prepared surfaces. So when we're doing the layout, we want to finish with a full tile, which means we have to be square to the door into the room. And that's fine. So the easiest way to do this, grab a piece of lumber, cut it for the size of the door, all right? Now remember, the drywall is 1/2 inch. If you have a carpenter pencil, that's simple. That side is 1/2 inch, that side is 1/4 inch. The midpoint of a door on 1 3/8 is basically 3/4, all right? So what we can do is we just take the 1/4 inch of that pencil, line it up there, there's my mark. All right, come over here, 1/4 inch pencil off the door frame. There we go, okay? Now that piece of wood is where my finished sluter edge should be, okay? Now bring my square over to it. I set my laser on my square. Now right down here, this yellow line represents the square line coming off the laser. So I set it on the edge of the laser, on the edge of the square. And over here, I've got it coming right off the corner of the dip. Okay, and so then all I have to do now is locate my space across the wall, which is over there, and I can slide my laser back and forth until I find my location of my grout line. There we go. Now we're perfectly lined up. Off my grout line, off my square to the door, we are good to go. When installing your tile, start from inside the room and work your way out. If you need to make cuts to accommodate your square, then make them on the edges that'll be hidden by finished trim or other components later on. Okay, so remember we ripped down the side here to give us wiggle room so we could rotate to get into square. We cut the length properly. We'll just set this in. That was the trouble spot. We'll stick it right in the corner. Now, what we want to do is find our laser line, okay? And then double check it down here as well. And away we go. All right. So here's the point. We've got a square coming off the door. I've got a laser line across the room. I'm setting this up so that the laser line hits the same spot in both points. That makes this my new square in the room. Okay? Now, all the other tiles are going to come into this, and all 4 of these will be square. So every measurement we take from here on in comes from this location going out for every other cut that we do. So as long as we follow that line back to the door, square to this line, we'll end up at the door with a full tile without any issues. All right, guys, next up, it's going to be my little trick for cutting the toilet flange. How to measure to the toilet flange and get it perfect every time. That is an age-old question. I got a system here that works like a charm. You need a toilet flange extension kit. I don't care which kind. This is just for measuring purposes. If you're going to be in a scenario where you got to build the toilet up anyway, just remember the top of the flange sits flush with the stone or up to 1/4 inch above it, and that's it. Okay? Everything else will fail. But the first thing we do is we have to measure to the lead edge of this flange. Okay, so 13 3/8. Oh my goodness. All right, there's my measurement to there, and then off the wall. Actually, I should be measuring from my tile. It's the only thing that's going to be square and relative. 19 3/4. Okay, and what I'm doing is I'm guessing where the middle of that ring is. I'm going to trace this out, and I'm going to hand that to Matt so that he can cut my toilet flange for me. All right. Wait 1 second. I just made a major mistake. That was close. I have to use this as my square, which means I need to extend my straight line here so I can measure from the line back to that flange. I can't measure off the wall. Happy daddy. All right, I'm just using a scrap piece of material here that's factory cut. It's square. I'm bringing that over. Now I've got my edge to measure from. We'll double check my gut. I know I'm messed that up. We're gonna go 3.5. All right. Yeah, I am out 1/2 inch because I saw that coming. All right, here we go, 3.5. Okay, let's get rid of the old one. There we go. New circle. And that should fit like a glove. Whew, okay.
I got PTSD from putting this thing on, eh?
Really?
Yeah. With the spider?
Oh, because of the bug?
The fly or something?
Yeah. Yeah, we were at the farmhouse and he had his mask hanging open and it got a big beetle or something in it. He didn't see it. So he put on his mask and took a deep breath and sucked it right down his throat. Beautiful. Okay. Right? So you know where it is. You can see the extra material sitting here.
Yeah.
But now that you got a hole,
yep,
it's so much easier because you get the blade right in there and you can just...
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it fell in so easy. I like that.
Oh.
Well played. All right. So let's just go through this, guys. We're using Schluter all set pin set. I recommend this for every homeowner, any application, all the time, no matter what you're doing. It's going to bond in modified and non-modified situations and combinations thereof. I like that. You want to kill the drill for a second? Let's just take a quick look. I don't want to get a face full of this cement. Here's the deal. You just take a finger and you do a drag test, okay? And it should collapse on itself. Now it's holding a little bit of a ridge if I go shallow, which is nice, okay? But we're using 1/2 by 1/2, and so it should collapse behind your finger. That's the right thickness. Okay, well, here we go. Tile membrane time. I got a cheat for your membrane, and that's this. Take your temporary tile flange, stick it on top of that hole, screw it down. There we go. I'm gonna find the ABS underneath this, not just the cement. All right. Break off already, okay. So here we go. Uncoupling membrane, all right? We have a fleece on the back side, a dimple on the front side. And if you're in an application where you're on OSB, 16-inch on center, 2x10 construction, you put this right on your OSB. Now you've satisfied your building code, you've satisfied your structure, and you're gonna have a subfloor system that isn't gonna crack for your tile, okay? So this is an underlayment system that's guaranteed to work. There we go. You just roll it out and measure it off by folding it there. And then you cut the line. Okay. There we go. There we go. Now, there's my underlayment. Okay. Now, the reason I added that flange is because now I've got a ridge. Okay. So I can take the back of my knife. Okay. And I can identify where the ridge is. Okay. See this? Now I got a general outline. I can just take my knife and cut my general outline. And that is why I put the flange there. Because you don't have to be perfect, you just got to be close. And that's close enough. Okay, now we're done.
That's a great trick.
Not bad, eh? Now, take a moment, put a couple of pencil marks on your floor. Okay? And then, like here too. There's my center line. Okay? Now all I do is roll this up like the Dead Sea Scrolls. Put it out of the way. Get my thin set, and I'm going to put the thin set on the ground. We're going to press that in. We'll show you how easy it is. Okay? So cut it with your knife. All right? We're looking for even distribution, not just smearing this around and making a bunch of mess. Okay? There we go. The secret is the angle that you hold this at. Keep it consistent around the room. All right? And then everything you do will be the same thickness. Okay. Comb it out. Okay. Now, because we got these pencil lines, we already know where the end of this is. And if you don't want to be getting filthy dirty at your job, that's how we do it. Okay? I'm going to take all this extra material up. It's not necessary to have all that material on the floor. I already got my handle dirty. That's awesome. Brand new tool. Okay, now, when you're working on a floor, here's your tools, okay? You have a bucket with water and a sponge. You're gonna constantly be cleaning as you go. All right, the stuff sets up crazy thick, and you do not wanna have tile tools covered in thin set that's half solidified, okay? And when you go to make your membrane, clean off your pail. If you're wondering, hey Jeff, you didn't wet the concrete. I'm like, correct, but I'm using Schluter All-Set, which means that it's good for every application in every environment. Wet or dry, waterproofed or not, I don't need wet concrete. There we go, pencil mark to pencil mark. We line this up to my pencil mark here. And we are golden, my friends. That's all you need, a little float. This one, you just, one hand, okay? Use it quarter by quarter. One hand, you set that down. There you go. Now that's an incredible bond on your subfloor. That's an incredible bond. There we go. You double check that you got really good bond on that, and then you set it back in again. Okay? All right. So all your joints are going to be perfect. Okay? Here we go. I'm going to clean as I go here. All right, let's push this in the corner. Now, the last thing we want to do is we want to set up our board again with our laser level and get a mark on our underlayment before we set our tile. Bam, get that on the corner. Get that there. Double check my window. Perfect. Now, let's get some thin set out here. Okay. And we're going to use the flat side to push it around. Just get started. And you can see in a quick hurry that that's not a lot of material. Huh? That's why when you mix this stuff, you can mix a whole lot at once. The beautiful part about this membrane that I'm also wanting to mention, guys, is that it uses the same mud on top as you do underneath. A lot of companies out there, you got to make a really thin mix for the underneath because their fleece doesn't bond very well. This one, you use a quarter by quarter trowel. That means it's a quarter down, quarter over, quarter up. Okay? That's for underneath. And then for on top, We're going to use a half by half by half. Anything that's oversized tile like this, you really want to get a nice thick trowel line on it, okay? Now we're going to start putting some trowel lines in. Now, all right, now I got to find my marker. There it is. Next thing we want to do with this monster tile is put a thin layer of the back butter on. And all we're going to do is throw a thin layer of this material over the entire stone to guarantee that the stone is bonded to the thin set underneath. Otherwise, you do run the risk of making a mistake here. Now, because we're using rectified porcelain, we're going to come into position now. And we're going to slide it, and that collapses the ridges. Now, there's my line. Bam, there it is. Okay. Now we're going to push back, collapse those ridges, find that line again. There we go. Okay. Move this in place for the next tile. And yes, you're going to get incredibly filthy. It's part of the job. Okay. Again, we're going to come this way. Now, the act of collapsing the ridges generally causes material to squeeze out between the tiles. So you don't have to go perfect in between them. Okay? Something like this. Push pressure, pull away. That's more than enough. Here we go. Now, same thing, back butter. There we go. Now, again, we're going to reach over. Here we go. Whew. Now, before we get too excited, I want to get a couple of these clips in. These are the Lash 360s. They're okay. It's a circle. Goes under both these tiles. So before I collapse the ridges, I want to give this tile a bit of a pop up here. Get that clip in that end. And get that clip underneath this end. There we go. Okay. Now, collapse these ridges. I am super happy with that. Well done. Okay. Now we can show you what a good tile installation looks like. We are flush across the top. This line is perfect. Okay. We're good over here. We're using 1/16 grout. And this is where everybody makes a mistake. They go and grab these clips now. They're going to come over and they're going to spin this down. Okay, and they're going to level off their stone. That's nice. And then what happens? Tomorrow you come back and you take this off when it's all dried and you go, wow, I tried to kick this off, but it broke and it's sticking out. The number one mistake by homeowners is that. Now, the solution to this, believe it or not, oh, here it is a number one pencil. Okay, you buy them in the box, they come pre-sharpened. Here you go. Go down there next to this and you clean your grout line. Follow your thin set. All right. Number one pencil is the perfect 1/16 grout cleaner. Grout line cleaner. Okay. You get rid of all of that extra material. Now your clips will come out no problem. And because it's pencil, wood, and graphite, there is no metal there to cause any chipping or to your glaze on your surface. Okay? Nice and simple. Now, wash as we go. You don't know where you got thin set on the surface. So on the side of your tile even. Keep everything nice and clean. Now, you twist and you squeeze. so they don't move. Okay, you don't want to let the grout line get too big. There we go. Anything that has a thread is going to have an angle to that thread, and that angle pushes things away. So once you've screwed it together, give them a squeeze back together. Get your pencil, clean out those grout lines. Okay, here we go. That's 2 of 6. And they're the hardest 2, honestly. Now this is all about rinse and repeat. Here we are. So, before I lay my thin set, I gotta get this measured for the door. Okay? And this is just a guesstimate, and I'm cutting short on purpose because you always have baseboard, and no one ever puts all of their weight right on that 1 little millimeter right there in the back corner. So it's never an issue. I am also going to measure exactly where my tile is going to finish with my Schluter. There we go. Well, we're committed now. Okay. Now we got all the building blocks. We can roll this up at our thin set and throw this inside of it. Okay. Okay. Whew. Brilliant. Okay, when in doubt, try to use the scroll system. It makes things just a little bit easier to line up all your cuts. Okay. Before you get too committed. There we go. Okay. All right. This joint right here, it's nice to have that waterproof for a lot of different reasons. Not just for waterproofing's sake, but to create a monolithic layer. Because it's a crack isolation membrane as well, and I'm on concrete, if a crack comes through the concrete, all right, and there is no membrane, it'll translate right into the tile. But if a crack comes across this room and passes where this is, this area right there, and there is nothing to bond these two pieces together, then the crack can also come through the tile. Why take a chance when the waterproof tape is in the package for free? Let's just take the 2 minutes to get it done right. Hold it. Mark it and cut it. All right. All right. Oh yeah, that's much better. This is all like taping drywall, guys. Make sure the circles are filled underneath. You got a little material there. You can set this in. Boom. That's it. All right. Now, and then we'll go this way so we can slide it and collapse the ridges, all right? Now, all right, so we're gonna go close to the corner. And even just doing that, I saw it squeeze out. So I'm gonna take my margin trowel and move that away, okay? There we go, beautiful. Now that that's set, I can get the tile, do the back butter, and we'll set it in. All right. Whew. Now, setting it on that edge means I haven't engaged with the rest of the thin set yet. So I'm going to slide it over. Okay. Get my grout line lined up where I want it, and then just drop it. Now we're going to put some pressure on it, pull it towards you, and then back again. All right, there we go. Like that. Okay, we're going to do a little grout line surgery here. Not going to tighten it down fully yet. I want to wait until all the rest of the tile is installed. Okay. All right, Matt, let's get you the next measurement for that other slice. There we go. 34 7/8 on the top, 35 on the bottom. Okay, now, while he's doing that, we can fill up this area with thinset, and then we can prep for the rest of our clips. Beautiful. Now, take a margin trowel. We're going to clean. We're going to clean. Now, we're going to get on our grout spacers / leveling clip system. Here we go. Now, we're ready to rock and roll. Let's see if we're 23.5 inches from tile to the edge of our... Oh, I am 1/8 of an inch off. Oh, horror! That is actually not too darn bad. Okay. If the sides are clean, less chance to squeeze out. Take the moment. Let's roll this into place. I didn't dry fit this because I just trust my system with Matthew. I'm going to get into that corner. Okay, I'm going to squeeze. I'm going to pull it towards me and collapse the ridges. And then pressure and go away. There we go. Okay. Now these systems here are semi-reusable. Okay, this is reusable, but every time you put in a clip, it's garbage because it leaves half of the body behind. So make sure you pay attention to your inventory if you're going to do one job and then grab another one. Now we can tighten that up. Okay. Now we're going to tighten this. Looking for lippage issues first. If you take the time to clean up between your grout lines as you go, you'll find out that these plastic things break off really well the next day. If you don't, they won't. We're going backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, because that was this cornerstone. Now we're going to measure to the wall and then to the edge of that square. And I'm going to take a little bit off. So 36.5. And then, yeah, 36.25. Always leave yourself extra room on the side, a little bit of wiggle room. Besides, you can always add some sort of base trim. Something is always going to go there. That's all there is to it. Okay, so we'll get that one cut. Okay, but I don't want perfect. I'm going to go a little bit shy so that my door casing covers my tile. So I'm going to go 22 3/8. Okay, and I'm going to mark that down. 22 3/8. All right, I'm going to confirm that I'm good on the inside corner as well. Now, probably the most precise cut you're ever going to want to make is right here, at this point, okay? Because the depth here is very important. You want to be as close to that wall as you can along this edge, because the only thing that's going to cover that is casing. And in my experience, a lot of people buy very inexpensive casing, and it's very thin, especially since the detail of the casing, it starts out something thick like this and does a little dip and it finishes really thin out here. Well, this corner is going to be right there. And if your tile is cut too short, then the whole world's going to see all that grout. Okay? Very, very key. Be patient. Then I got to try to find a way to get my camera guy out of the bathroom. Let's get the rest of this out of here. Let's lay that back. Let's get this clean. I am going to just clean up just a little bit of an edge here. All right. And drop. Okay. Okay. But if you go like this underneath and you twist, you can lift and get rid of that issue. There we go. And we're going to clean around here. Okay. Oi. Okay. Yeah, I'm a little high. Part of the reason for that, I think, is my waterproofing band is like right here. I'm gonna have to work a little extra hard to get that leveled off. Okay.
Is the right side out the door going to be an issue?
Is it what?
Right side out the door, Frank?
Oh, fark! Very, very key. Be patient. Try to get your fitting as tight as you can around the door. All right. So no doubt, a bunch of you are in the comment section right now, and you're going, Matty screwed up a cut. No, he did not. I screwed up the measurement. Let's go take a look. Here's the evidence. That's my wax mark. That's on me. And here's my information that I translated. So it's 22 3/8 from that edge to this cut line. But then instead of measuring, see, I made a mistake. I wrote down 22.5 for my measurement from here to here. But the truth is, I should have gone with a 24.5. Well, I don't know if I read the tape wrong or what I was thinking, but that should be a 4. That's what happens, ladies and gentlemen. You get near the end of the day. We're moving on 3:30 now. And you get stupid. That's just all there is to it. One of the reasons why when I'm on a job site, I don't do plumbing after lunch. I just find myself too stupid to do something I don't do all the time. Anyway, the solution for this is really simple. One, we remove the tile. We cut a new one. But because these things are huge and expensive, I'm going to wash it up and hopefully salvage some of this for work in the shower later. That is what a really good bind looks like. Okay, there we go. Now, listen guys, if you got questions about your own tile job, jump into the comment section, okay? Feel free. Let me know. I love to read the comments for the first week of any video that comes out. Try to stay up to speed with what's going on out there. All right. Last tile, last time. Okay, use a forearm with your fingers for offloading that pressure. There we go. This is why we always cut a little bit short against the wall. Give yourself room to use your fingers up against the edges here. There we go. Here we go. Tiles in. Let's get our camera guy out. Last thing we have to do is get our Schluter edge installed underneath at the door. Lean out, get that on there. Okay. All right.
Walk the plank.
Walk the plank, Joe. I want to check out the dismount. Nicely done, buddy. All right, guys. Last step is door trim. We're using Schluter L, and this just to cap it off and give it a decorative look. I'm going to go with 31 and a half. Probably 31 and a quarter. Remember, we're putting door jambs on each side. There's probably a little gap, blah, blah, blah. So this is a little square for tile from QEP. Not a bad little gizmo, right? It's got a groove in it, so you can set your Schluter trim inside it. And now it's holding it for the saw. So you can do your miter cuts and have it in there square. It's going to work out really well for us down the road. But for today, we just want a square cut. And I'm going to demonstrate how much safer this is than putting your hand in there. And get a really nice finish. You set this up at the height just underneath the stone. And we're going to slide it in. Nice and tall. Okay. Then I'm going to take a little bit more of this thin set and apply some structure for underneath it. Because this is a very site-specific kind of a situation, but I'm going to show you all my tricks. Why the heck not? All right. There we go. So we're adding structure. Is you don't want your trim in contact with your tile. This should be grouted as well. Okay? So we're going to take our pencil. We're going to create a grout line by jamming that in there. Cleans it at the same time. Okay? Okay, there we are. Now listen, there's going to be a little bit of thin set on the face of this steel. Okay? Thin set actually washes off up to 48 hours. Okay, so it'll be bonded and it'll be hard, and you'll still be able to wash that off. All right, guys, let me just show you my grout setup real quick. Grout float, I love the rubber floats. And then I grabbed this little mixer right here for mixing my grout. So this is great. If you're gonna mix more than 10 pounds of grout, get a bigger mixing paddle. You'll find it on the shelf as an option in the tile department at your local building store. So I'm gonna mix in here. I've got 2 pails of water, about half full, all right? And they each have their own sponge. Because cleaning is the most important part about grouting. If you don't have clean water and a clean sponge, you end up just leaving haze everywhere. Okay, now, here we go. 10-pound bag, I need a handful. And I know you could just mix a handful and save the rest for the wall, right? But here's the deal. This in here is not a solution, it's a mixture. So there's a lot of different components sitting in that bag that need to be mixed together with the water at the same time to get the color you want. So if you are like me and you like to have consistent uniform color, then what you're gonna do is add a little bit of water to your pail. Okay, not much. Like I'm using a ½ an inch of water, that's it. I'm gonna pour the whole bag into the water. You must pour it into the water or you are going to get dry clumps around the outside. Okay. We're gonna mix slowly. There we go. Now we add water as is needed. And you can just add a little bit of water at a time. Okay, that's it, all right? You wanna go slow because the moisture you put in this pail needs to evaporate. It's going to dry out. Now, real quick before we get going, that needs about 10 minutes to set up. There's a chemical reaction going on in the pail, okay? And it's going to get a lot more stiff, which is good. We're just going to come by and wash our tile because I did a little bit of drywall work. And this is just great practice Go through your grout lines, make sure all your pencil marks are rubbed off from the installation. Now, once it's set up for about 10 minutes, you want to give it another quick little whip. Okay, now the secret to grout is the more you touch it, the looser it gets. It's actually kind of a phenomenon. But you can see that there. It's going to hold a peak. It's relatively stiff and stable. That's about all I need for the entire room. We aren't going to grout between the tile and the shower, okay? That's not necessary. We are going to go on a 45-degree angle, both this way and this way, to force that grout into the joint. And so I want to be able to force grout into that groove so that it goes not just in the groove, but it goes underneath and reinforces that edge. Now, because this is such a large format tile, I'm almost done. You'll notice that that part there is getting a little sloppy because I've moved it around so much. So I'm going to leave it there, work with the stiff stuff. Now, the best grout job that you can do is one where the grout dries and has just a little bit of an indent. If your grout is too wet, it'll shrink as it dries and you have a huge groove. You'll see the side of the tile and it won't have the same look as the top. If that happens to you, don't be afraid. It's an easy fix. You simply go back and grab another bag, wait for it to set up, okay? And then maybe 4 or 5 hours later, you can come back and you can do a surface. And you can resurface your grout line if it's necessary, all right? All right. All right. Now, wash your tools. It's going to be a few minutes before we can actually wipe the floor. We want to see it start to dry up a little bit, okay? It is what it is, guys. There we go. That's dry. Okay, you squeeze all the extra grout out of your sponge. Bring out your sponge. You set it, and you slide with a little bit of pressure on a 45-degree angle across your grout joint. You flip it over, see how dirty it is, and you do the next space over. That's it, and leave it alone. Then let it set up. We got to be very careful. You got to be cognizant of your knees and your feet now, okay? Don't put your knees or your toes in the grout line. So I'm going to start further away and work my way back to myself now. That's it. And eventually, oh, we got one here. Good. We're going to get an air bubble. That just means there is moisture trapped in there when we were grouting. Okay, not a big deal. We'll fix that in just a second. This is why we keep the pail handy with the grout in it. This polymer is like a love-hate relationship. It's a great product, but it is prone to these air bubbles because it doesn't have the sand. Okay, now, want dry hands for this. Last thing I want to do is add more moisture to this grout. Okay. That's it. Now I'm going to give those patches about 10 minutes to set up before I wipe them again. Well, that's my process for tiling a bathroom floor. I hope you found it helpful. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in the next video. Cheers.